Hi, folks. Happy holidays. By the time you see this, it's probably going to be 2025. So, hello from the past. I am a wizard. No. So, Happy New Year. Actually, though, I'm not sure. So, one of the biggest things I struggle with in the New Year is how long you're allowed to say Happy New Year. Is it, 3 days in, like, still good? 5 days? Maybe, probably, yeah. 8, 9 days? Maybe it's not a Happy New Year anymore. Maybe you need to start just wishing people a terrible rest of the year because that's I'm just kidding. So today, without further ado, today we have a Flux tutorial, and this one is especially awesome for the HPC community because we are going to be deploying Flux framework in a VM scale set on Azure. And so probably if you're familiar with Azure, you might be getting excited because what that means is that we're going to have our cluster with Infiniband. And I have to tell you, this has took me a hot minute to do because I wanted everything totally automated. So the build is done with Packer, deployment is done with Terraform. I didn't, a lot of clouds have kind of their own custom tools for building or deploying. And I like to choose solutions that really are sort of not agnostic to the cloud. So there's different recipes within Terraform, but Terraform is a tool that works across clouds. And so is Packer. And so that was my goal. I'm very happy to say that was reached. Okay, so without further ado, to Infiniband and beyond. Captain's log, star date, December 27th, 2024. We have an adventure to the cloud, Infiniband. Okay, let's get started. So I'm sharing my screen. The first thing that you will want to do is build your image. So there are ways that you can make public images. I would rather not have to host all images for people. So here we are seeing the build Packer images. It is immensely easy. So you basically clone the repository with Flux tutorials. You go into the build directory. This is where I'm reading this file from. If you don't have Packer on your machine, this is how you install it for Linux. You can, of course, oh my goodness, there's a music video playing in the background. Let's let's make this go away. That's not embarrassing or anything. No, I was doing a little dancing before this. Okay, so you want to install oh my God. You want to install Packer. This may not be the correct recipe for your platform. If it isn't, then you can go onto their website and find it. This will put an executable on your path. Now, I want to note that everything that I'm going to show you, I did in the Cloud Shell. So this is Microsoft Azure, their portal. This little symbol up here, I don't know if I can make this bigger. Yeah, so this little symbol up here will open a Cloud Shell. Heroes in a Cloud Shell. Turtle power. And in this Cloud Shell, where you will also find your turtle power, this is where you can very easily authenticate with Azure. This is probably specific to my institution. I'm just not able to use the AZ command line client from my local machine. So the reason I want to tell you this is because there is Packer, at least at the time of this recording, that is installed in this environment, and you likely want to replace it with a newer version because they have a quite old version on there that I ran into bugs. So once you do that, then if you just type AZ account show, which I'm not going to type and show you all my secrets, that is going to give you things like your subscription ID, your tenant ID. Every cloud has their own identifiers. This is what Azure has that kind of gives the identity to your account. You will need to create what's called a resource group, which I like to think of as a container for resources. So for example, for this one, I created one called Packer testing. Then once you do that, you can just type make. And the reason that you can just type make is because the make file is going to issue a command. Well, I'll show you. I should just show you the make file, shouldn't I? The make file is going to do basically Packer init, Packer format, Packer validate, and then it's going to Packer build this file, the one that we were originally looking at. And this basically gets all these environment variables. So this is HCL. It is not, so it looks like a Terraform file. It is not. So for example, this env directive will absolutely not work in Terraform. And this is going to use the Azure ARM. I think that means resource manager, but don't quote me on that. For the builder, that is basically going to use a script build.shell that has all of the instructions to build Flux. And it's using their 2024 Azure HPC image. Now, I want to tell you that I did try to build this on 24.04, And I did not have success. I think when I tried to build the kernel modules for the Mellanox OFED or whatever it's called, there seemed to be an issue. I think there might not be support for the newer version of the kernel that's there. I need to look into that more, but for now, we're using 22.04. I know it's a long time ago at this point, you know, we're all getting old, it's fine. So this will build your image, and it will build it, specifically, you might want to change the VM size. So this is what we use for our performance study. You know, there's version 2, there's version 3. I believe there's a version 4 now. You can obviously browse and peruse and find basically, use this command, azvm image list, to find the image in metadata here. And then you can browse the instance types to figure out which one you want here. So after that's done, it's actually a very quick build because a lot of the stuff that we need comes in this VM. You will have a VM that you can, in the console, get an identifier for. And so after that, you are going to get back to your terminal here. So we can go to Azure, back to this README, because I just did this 10 minutes ago, but I can't remember what I was doing. I almost forgot. Need to be a little festive today, so I have a green shirt. It's a new shirt. And my friend, actually, this is for my birthday, so this is kind of months old, but I have this green little guy, and I've never had a green shirt. So because this is a dinosaur tutorial, we need a double dinosaur going on here. So I want to put that on. Okay, so let's look at this. So we just built our images, and now we're going to deploy Terraform. So what we do is we export this into our environment. So when you look at your image in the portal here, you'll find that it has this reference. And importantly, you want this to say images. You don't want this to say gallery, and you don't want this to say disks, because there are similar identifiers for those things, and you can click the wrong one and you can get the wrong identifier. So you want to export that into the environment. The convention for Terraform, when you have variables, is if you have this prefix, that will go right into the variable. So again, we've cloned the repository. We're in a tutorials Azure. I have that environment variable set. So let's do, I've already done this, but you can do make format, make validate, and maybe it'll throw up on you, maybe it won't. I really hope this works because I haven't actually run it. So so what we're going to do, we're going to bring up this cluster, and then I'm going to show you, it only has 2 nodes. So that's one of the variables. Actually, let me show you that. So if you go in main.terraform, I tried to put everything in here so that, where is it? There it is. Come on, gedit, I believe in you. It's a little bit slow sometimes. So this is what the config looks like. This is like not that much code, but this took me a really long time to write because there just isn't that much. You have to kind of put together pieces of what you want. So everything that you will care about is here in this local section. So you probably want to keep this the same. You may want to adjust the size, but I recommend that you start with 2. The disk size, I like to make it larger, assuming I'm going to install something. This largely, I haven't seen anything other than ETH0, so that hasn't changed. Name, you can keep as Flux. Now, the resource group name is going to be created and destroyed, so it absolutely cannot exist. The VM image name is the one that we just built. This is the one that it was the resource group that it belongs in. Here's our image size and the location. Make sure that you have quota. If you do not have quota, it will not work. Tags, probably not super useful. And so this is gonna bring up the most simple cluster that I could make. And so I usually bring something up with OSU and lamps. I removed that because I just wanted this to work. Okay, so now we are going to live dangerously. And one more note though that I just remembered. So this terminal here, this cloud shell, you know, sometimes Ninja Turtles get tired and, you know, maybe they need pizza, maybe, like, who knows, but I have found that the yes does not always appear. So I added a makefile directive for apply approved, which adds a little flag that says like, yes, I want to approve this, so we don't have to. So we're going to do make apply approved, and the flag is auto approved. So now we watch. No, I'm just kidding. Let me show you what happens in the startup script, because I showed you that it's going to be running, it's going to use cloud-init to run that startup script. Okay, so what Azure does is it creates this kind of pattern. So this will be like flux 000 through a high number. I have to tell you, I've also seen letters appear. So this is likely to need to be changed. I haven't hit the case with the letters again, but very likely. So we have the lead broker. We create the resources here. This is where we're creating directories. We create the broker.toml. This is the configuration file for the broker on the fly. Here's where that Ethernet device gets piped in from a template. Here is our node list. And then let's see, here is the service. So we have our friend systemd is running on here. So systemd is going to be running Flux. Then down here, we basically daemon reload, restart status, and boom. So now I'm probably going to fast forward in the video because this is taking a little bit of time. Oh, it's done. Okay, so that was actually really fast. So this is great. I forgot. This was actually faster than the Amazon. So the Amazon one that uses Terraform as well comes up in about 3 minutes. This one was done in 1 minute and 10 seconds, which absolutely blows my mind. So what you're looking at here are the keys that are generated just for this VM set. Don't worry, by the time that you watch this, these are going to be long dead and gone. So I really don't care, or it doesn't matter that you're seeing them because they won't exist and they won't be attached to anything. So what I found is easiest to do is to define these to be output variables. So all you need to do is basically pipe them into the subsequent files, the public and the private key. Notice I add R to JQ for raw so that we remove the quotes. Now we have our little key. Now, getting the IP address, I didn't find a clever way to get it from the output, but the AZ command line client is installed in this Cloud shell. So we're going to get the IP address programmatically. And now we can use the key with SSHI to shell in as the Azure user. We accept the fingerprint. Alrighty, so full disclosure, my Azure portal crashed. So it didn't come up in the same thing. I opened up a private browser, so we're back. But then I shelled into my cluster and it was like moment of truth and it didn't work. And let me tell you why. So when you create a VM scale set in Azure, what you give it is a name, and you can optionally give it a computer name. So the name is this prefix here. And then the computer name, if you don't give it one, it will default to the name. So I just provided a name. So both the computer name and the instance prefix are Flux. However, that number, that is an instance ID, which is totally unpredictable. So sometimes I get 0. Actually, I was getting 0 during development, which is why I didn't test this. Sometimes I get 1. And today, right now, for the tutorial, of course, I got 2 and 3. And the reason we need to know that first computer name is that's the lead broker. Well, the follower brokers need to know who is the first in the list to connect to. So I shelled in, and it absolutely didn't work. So, demo disease or whatever they call it. So what did I do? Well, the first thing I did is I wrote a little command that will tell you what the lead broker is. So here we would see, oh no, it is number 2. Not that number 2, get your mind out of the gutter. It is number 2, so that is not going to work. So we actually have to update all of the instances. And so I tested a command. So Azure provides a command line AZ command to run a script. It was very slow. It's actually much easier just to write your own little update. Let's see, are we in the right directory? We are not in the right directory. Your own little, let's see, update broker script that will do exactly that. It's going to basically recreate the broker.toml file, which is where everything is kind of configured, and then the resources file here. So instead, we're just going to basically SCP that onto each instance that we're going to run it, and it's actually fairly quick. Of course, if you have thousands of instances, this is not going to work. So Azure, let's get some kind of solution in place so that we can have more predictable names, perhaps. So what's happening now is it's restarting all of these guys. So let's try this again. We're going to get the IP address for the lead broker. We're going to attempt to SSH in. And now here is my Hail Mary moment of truth. Oh Lord, please work. I'm not religious, but okay. So there's our cluster. which probably should have happened like 30 to 4. I don't even know how long it's been. It's been a hot minute. But don't worry, I will update right now this script is not in the repository. I will update it so it's there. So let's do something cool, right? Let's what should we do? Let's install the OSU benchmarks. So this is actually from an Azure startup config where I install it by default. So we will install OSU 5.8. This should be relatively quick. Install yourself. And then we're going to go back into the lead broker and we're going to run some OSU with Infiniband. Are you excited? I'm really excited. I feel like I really earned this today. I've been working on this configuration for like very, very long time. Okay, so let's just do one more standing check Flux resource list. Make this a little bigger so you can see it. Okay, so we have our 2 nodes. Let's just do a test, Flux run, N2, hostname. We're going to get 2 and 3. There they are, beautiful. So now let's do N2 and we'll do user, where was it? Local, libexec, OSU, MPI, and then let's do a collective OSU all reduce. Okay. Let's now do my favorite because I feel like most people are familiar with latency. This is a point-to-point benchmark. So it's going to be OSU latency. And also because it's a point-to-point benchmark, it's going to want exactly 2 processes. If you don't give it little n2, it is going to get very angry at you. So let's do it. Look at those beautiful latencies. Alrighty, folks. So that is it for the Flux tutorial for Azure. That's so beautiful. Once you see that latency, you're just like, I must have those tiny numbers. I must have them. They're mine. So once we're here, we should be able to do make destroy. And oh my gosh, I don't know if my environment state is messed up. It might be messed up. The good news is that if it does get messed up, this is all under the same resource group in the Azure portal. So you can literally just delete that entire resource group and you're good. Enter value. So this also shows that the SSH public and private keys are associated with this. Once you delete it, they are also deleted. And that is cleaning up. So what I am going to do after I finish recording this is I'm going to update this here. I'm going to add another little handy dandy script to install OSU. Maybe I'll do one for lamps as well, so you can kind of install stuff on the fly and play. This has been the tutorial for running Flux on Azure. Had some unexpected surprises, but there were some quick fixes. Well, there were some not so quick. It'll be quick for you because it'll exist. We will have another tutorial shortly on doing more cool stuff with these setups. I just want to get the cloud setups underway first. So with that note, Dinosaur number 1 and Dinosaur number 2, talk to you later. Thanks for coming today.